3 weeks before that coffee spilled, Malik Johnson stood outside Crestwood Academy for the first time, his backpack worn, his shoes clean but scuffed, his mother's hand gripping his shoulder like it was her last anchor to hope. The school stood tall and perfect, ivory walls, trimmed hedges, a row of cars too expensive to even park themselves. It looked less like a school and more like a palace. To Malik, it felt like a world that wasn't meant for him. His mother smiled anyway. "You earned this, baby," she said, brushing imaginary dust from his sleeve. "Don't let anyone make you feel like you don't belong." Malik nodded, even though a part of him already knew, belonging here would be harder than any Taekwondo tournament he'd ever fought. The first day, whispers started before he even sat down. "Scholarship kid, from the public zone. His mom probably cleans houses." He heard it all. He always did. But Malik had a rule: never let noise distract you from the mission. And his mission was simple: survive Crestwood, graduate top of his class, make his mother proud. That was it. What he didn't expect was Ryan Blake. Ryan walked into every room like a storm with a smile. His father was the headmaster, his family owned half the buildings on campus, and his last name alone got him out of every consequence. To the teachers, Ryan was a natural leader. To the students, he was untouchable. To Malik, he was the kind of person who reminded him why discipline mattered. Their first encounter came 2 days after orientation. Malik had just finished gym class, sitting alone on the bleachers tying his shoes, when Ryan walked up with his entourage. "Hey, new guy," Ryan said. "You're pretty fast. You play sports?" Malik looked up, polite. "A bit. Taekwondo mostly." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Oh, so you kick people for fun?" The group laughed. Malik didn't. He just said, quietly, "Only when necessary." Ryan smirked. "A predator finding a new toy. Cool. Hope you don't need that here." Sound, locker door slams, transition to cafeteria sounds. Over the next weeks, small things started to happen. His locker was accidentally jammed. His notebook disappeared before a test. Someone scribbled Project Kid on his locker door. He never complained, never reacted. But silence, to people like Ryan, isn't strength, it's invitation. Every story of injustice starts the same way: one person with too much power, and another with too much to lose. Malik's silence wasn't weakness, it was protection. His mother's sacrifices had taught him that reacting to cruelty only fed it. But Crestwood wasn't built for quiet kids from the other side of town. It was built to remind them of where they didn't belong. Then came the scholarship assembly, the one where Malik was supposed to be recognized for outstanding merit. He stood on stage, lights blinding him, applause thin and polite. Behind him, he could see Ryan smirking from the front row, and beside Ryan, his father, Headmaster Blake, clapping without looking. After the ceremony, Malik overheard Ryan's voice echoing through the hallway. "Dad, why give these kids scholarships at all? They don't fit here." His father's reply was low, indifferent. "It looks good for the press, son. Just ignore them." In that moment, Malik realized something painful. At Crestwood, he wasn't a student. He was a symbol, a trophy of diversity in a school that wanted praise, not change. That night, at home, his mother noticed the silence at dinner. "You okay?" she asked, watching him stir untouched food. He smiled faintly. "Yeah, just tired." She didn't push, but she placed her hand over his. "Remember what I told you, Malik? You don't need to be like them. You just need to be better." And he would be. But no one warned him how much better he'd have to be just to survive there. By the time the coffee poured over his shirt 3 weeks later, it wasn't just one act of cruelty. It was the weight of every whisper, every smirk, every small injustice snapped into one moment of humiliation. But what Ryan didn't realize was that Malik's patience had a breaking point. And when that moment came, the entire school would learn what happens when the underestimated finally stand tall. It was a Friday morning, the kind of morning that looked peaceful from the outside. The sun slanted through the tall windows of Crestwood's cafeteria, and the smell of roasted coffee filled the air. For Malik, it was just another day to survive quietly. He sat in his usual spot, table by the window, earphones in, reading a book on physics. Same lunch, same routine, same effort to be invisible. But sometimes, trouble doesn't need an invitation. It finds the quiet ones on purpose. Ryan Blake and his two friends, Jason and Cole, strutted into the cafeteria like they owned it, which, in a way, they did. Their laughter was loud, exaggerated, the kind that demanded attention. Jason spotted Malik first. "Hey, there's your scholarship buddy," he said, smirking. Ryan followed his gaze, eyes narrowing. "Perfect." Ryan picked up a cup of steaming coffee from the counter, stirring it slowly with a grin. "Let's give our guest of honor a warm welcome." Malik looked up, removing one earbud. His face was calm, too calm. He'd seen that look before, the kind bullies wear before they make something small feel huge. Ryan leaned over the table, fake smile plastered on his face. "So, how's the royal transfer student liking our little school?" Malik looked back down at his book. "Fine." Ryan's smile faded. "Fine? That's all you got? Come on, we're trying to make conversation here." Cole snickered. "Maybe he doesn't speak money, bro." Malik closed his book slowly and looked up. His voice was steady. "I said I'm fine. Can I help you with something?" Ryan tilted his head. "Yeah, you can stop acting like you belong here." Before Malik could respond, Ryan's hand tilted forward. The coffee splashed, steaming, dark, and cruel. A hush fell over the cafeteria. Malik froze, the liquid searing through his shirt, dripping onto the floor. The laughter started again. Phones came up. Record buttons clicked. Ryan grinned. "Oh no, did I burn the charity case? My bad." Malik's fists clenched at his sides, but his breathing, controlled. His heartbeat, steady. The training came back like muscle memory. Control before reaction. He slowly stood. The laughter died down, replaced by uneasy silence. Ryan's grin faltered just slightly as he looked up at him. Malik's soaked shirt clung to his chest, steam rising, his eyes calm and cold. "You done?" Malik asked quietly. Ryan scoffed, forcing a laugh. "What, you gonna hit me? Go ahead, charity boy, I dare you." Malik took a step closer, slow, deliberate. Everyone in the room leaned forward. Then, he picked up his bag, and walked away. Jason muttered, "Man, he's weak." Ryan smirked again, trying to mask the sudden discomfort crawling up his neck. But deep down, he felt it. That calm silence wasn't fear, it was power he couldn't understand. Sometimes, walking away isn't weakness, it's strategy. Malik knew that if he struck back now, they'd twist the story. The scholarship kid attacked the headmaster's son. He'd lose everything his mother sacrificed for. So, he swallowed a humiliation, not because he was afraid, but because he was waiting. After school, Malik stood alone by his locker, peeling off the dried coffee from his sleeve. He looked at his reflection in the metal, tired eyes, clenched jaw. His phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. "Saw what happened today. Don't let them get away with it." He frowned. "Who is that?" Then another message came through. "Check Crestwood Confessions. You're trending." Malik opened the school gossip page. There it was, a video of the coffee incident. Captions filled with laughter, mockery, and cruel emojis. But among the comments, one stood out. He didn't even flinch. That kid's built different. In that moment, something shifted. The humiliation hadn't broken him, it had revealed him. Because someone out there saw it. Someone saw the strength behind the silence. And Malik realized, maybe he wasn't as alone as he thought. That day, the coffee burned more than skin. It branded a moment into Malik's story. A moment that would turn humiliation into history. Because you can mock silence all you want, but silence remembers. And when it finally speaks, it shakes everything. When the rain fell over Crestwood the next day, the halls felt different. Not quieter, just heavier. Like the walls themselves had seen what happened and were ashamed to echo it. Malik walked through those halls with his hood up. Eyes followed him, whispers trailed behind. Everyone had seen the video. Everyone had an opinion. "Yo, that's the guy from the coffee thing. Can't believe he didn't fight back. Maybe he's scared." But not everyone was laughing. Some stared in silence, not out of pity, but out of something else, respect. Malik reached his locker. On the metal door, someone had taped a print out of the viral video. Under it, written in red marker, "Know your place." He tore it down quietly, folded it, and slipped it into his bag. He didn't throw it away, not yet. For the first time, anger didn't feel wild inside him. It felt focused, like heat pressed into steel. In class, the tension was thicker than chalk dust. Ryan sat 2 rows ahead, leaning back with that same easy arrogance. When the teacher turned to write on the board, Ryan tossed a crumpled note over his shoulder. It landed on Malik's desk. He opened it. One line. "Still scared, hero." Malik didn't react, he just stared at it, then folded it neatly, placing it beside his notebook. Lunchtime came. Malik took his food and sat outside under the covered walkway, away from the noise. He needed quiet to think. Then, a voice broke through the rain. "Hey, you mind if I sit here?" He looked up. A girl stood there, curly hair tucked under her hoodie, confidence in her stance. Her name was Ava Parker. Malik shrugged. "Free world." She sat, balancing her tray on her lap. "You don't talk much, huh?" He smirked slightly. "Talking's overrated." She studied him. You handled that coffee thing like a soldier." He looked at her, cautious. "You saw it. Everyone saw it, but most people only saw the splash. I saw the look on your face." She leaned closer. "That wasn't fear, that was control. I've seen that look before. My brother's in the military." Malik hesitated, then nodded. "Taekwondo. Been training since I was 11. Ava smiled. "Explains it." Then her tone dropped. "Ryan's been doing this for years. Last semester, he made another scholarship kid drop out. The teachers don't say anything because his dad runs the place." Malik's jaw tightened. "I figured." She looked at him, eyes sharp. "You planning to do something?" He exhaled slowly. "Yet, but not what he expects." That was the moment Malik's silence turned into strategy. He didn't want revenge. He wanted exposure. He wanted the truth, the pattern, to speak louder than a punch ever could. That night, Malik created an anonymous account. Username, Truth in Uniform. He posted the full video of the coffee incident, unedited, with one caption: "Sometimes silence isn't weakness, it's proof of discipline." Crestwood Justice. Within hours, the post spread. Thousands of views, dozens of comments. Some mocked him, but many didn't. Respect. The way he stood there and didn't flinch. This school protects bullies. Someone needs to expose Crestwood. By morning, it wasn't just a school rumor. It was a storm. Ryan stormed down the hall, phone in hand, face red. "Who posted this?" Jason shrugged nervously. "Dude, it's everywhere. Even teachers are talking about it." Ryan glared around. "He's dead." Later that day, Malik was called to the headmaster's office. Headmaster Blake sat behind his desk, face unreadable. "Malik," he began slowly, "I've seen the video circulating. Do you know who uploaded it?" Malik's expression was calm. "No, sir." The man sighed. "These kinds of videos can damage the school's reputation. I hope you understand that we must maintain order." Malik looked him straight in the eye. "Order, or silence." The headmaster stiffened. "Watch your tone, son." Malik nodded slightly. "Yes, sir, but I'm just wondering, if your son had been the one with coffee on his shirt, would we still be talking about reputation?" Silence. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Blake's jaw tightened. "That'll be all. Sometimes power doesn't crumble when you confront it. Sometimes it just shakes a little, enough to show its cracks." And Malik was learning where those cracks were later, in the gym. Malik trained alone. Punches, kicks, controlled breathing. Each move, not anger, but focus. Ava watched from the doorway. "You sure this is the right way?" Malik stopped mid-kick, turning toward her. "Fighting back doesn't always mean fighting. I need people to see what's happening." She nodded. "Then I'll help." Over the next few weeks, Ava and Malik collected proof, screenshots, testimonies, voice recordings. Students anonymously shared their experiences. Ryan's name came up in almost every one. Each story, a piece of the truth. Each truth, a weapon sharper than any kick. But word spread fast, and soon, the bullies caught wind of it. Ryan cornered Malik after practice one evening. "Think you're clever, huh? Making me look bad online." Malik didn't even look up. "You don't need my help for that." Ryan's face twisted. He shoved Malik hard against the lockers. "You don't talk to me like that." Malik straightened slowly, unbothered. He stepped close, just enough for Ryan to feel his calm presence. "If you touch me again," he said quietly, "I won't just defend myself. I'll make sure the whole world sees who you really are." Ryan froze, because for the first time, he realized Malik wasn't bluffing. That night, Malik didn't sleep. He sat by the window, watching the rain, thinking about how justice often feels lonely before it becomes loud. He remembered his mother's words: "You don't have to be like them, you just have to be better." He whispered to himself, "Almost there, Mom." Sometimes, doing the right thing means standing alone, but standing alone doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're waiting for truth to catch up to courage. By the time spring came to Crestwood, something had changed. The whispers in the hallway weren't about Malik anymore. They were about Ryan. Students were sharing screenshots, old messages, videos of his temper. Even teachers looked uneasy when his name came up. For the first time, the predator could feel what it was like to be watched. Ryan stormed through the halls that morning, jaw tight, eyes scanning for Malik. His once loyal friends trailed behind him, quieter now, uncertain which side was safer. He spotted Malik at his locker, headphones in, calm as ever. Ryan marched up, snatched one earbud out. Ryan hissed under his breath, "You think this is over? You ruined me." Malik turned slowly. "Did I ruin you, or did the truth do that?" Ryan sneered, "You're dead, man." Before he could make a move, Principal Blake appeared down the hall. "Ryan Matthews, My office. Now. Ryan froze. Students nearby whispered. For the first time, he looked unsure. The meeting lasted 40 minutes. When Ryan came out, his face was pale, his jaw tight. The whole school watched him walk out of the office, past Malik, not saying a word. Word spread fast. The Matthews family had been called in. The board was reviewing every complaint ever filed against him. Ava found Malik later in the courtyard. You did it, she said softly. Malik shook his head. No, we did. She smiled faintly. How does it feel? He looked toward the main building, where Ryan had vanished. Like it's just starting. That night, Malik couldn't sleep. Justice wasn't supposed to feel peaceful. It felt heavy, because beneath every victory, there's a cost. He opened his laptop, reading the flood of messages under his anonymous account. You gave us courage. I finally told my parents what happened. Thank you. He scrolled slowly, each message a quiet heartbeat. Then one caught his eye. A message from a teacher. I saw what you're doing. Don't stop. Some of us have been silent too long. Sometimes the most powerful change begins with one person refusing to stay quiet. And sometimes, that one person gives others permission to stand up too. Principal Blake stood on the stage, face firm but somber. Crestwood has always prided itself on excellence, he began. But excellence means nothing without integrity. Recently, incidents have come to light, incidents that do not reflect the values of this institution. He paused. Effective immediately. Disciplinary action has been taken against several students involved in harassment and discrimination, including Ryan Matthews. Ryan wasn't there. His locker had been emptied that morning. The storm had broken, and when it cleared, the air felt cleaner. Malik sat near the back, Ava beside him. He didn't cheer. He didn't smile. He just exhaled, slow and deep, like someone finally allowed to breathe again. Ava turned to him. You should take credit for what you did. Malik shook his head. If they know it's me, it'll just become another story about revenge. This was never about that. She nodded. So what was it about? He looked at her, calm. Sure, balance. My father used to say, power isn't evil until someone forgets what it's for. And in that moment, the message of the story began to unfold. Justice wasn't about punishment. It was about reminding power that it had limits. Hey, Malik turns. It's Jason, Ryan's friend. He hesitates before speaking. Hey, man, I just wanted to say, sorry, for everything. Malik studies him. You knew what he was doing. Jason nods, shame in his voice. Yeah, I did. And I didn't stop him. Guess I was scared. Malik's tone softens. Then don't stay scared. Forgiveness doesn't erase pain, but it keeps you from carrying someone else's poison too long. That sunset marked the first peaceful day Crestwood had seen in years. No shouts, no rumors, just the sound of sneakers on the basketball court, laughter echoing across the campus. Malik sat on the bleachers, watching a game in progress. For the first time, he wasn't invisible. He wasn't the victim. He was part of something again. Ava joined him, holding 2 bottles of juice. You ever miss hitting back? He smirked. Every day. She laughed. But you didn't need to. He nodded slowly. No, I didn't. Because true strength isn't about fighting the hardest. It's about choosing when not to fight, and still winning anyway. By the end of that week, Crestwood Academy felt different. The air was lighter, the noise quieter, even the walls seemed to breathe again. But for Malik, the story wasn't over, because real justice doesn't end when the bully falls. It ends when truth stands tall. When the flyer went up, all levels welcome. Malik signed his name quietly. He didn't do it to prove anything. He did it because that part of himself, the fighter, had waited too long to breathe. The gym smelled of sweat and floor polish. Banners hung from the ceiling. One read, Crestwood stands for integrity. Funny, he thought. A few months ago, that word would have sounded like a joke. The announcer's voice echoed through the gym. Next up, Malik Johnson, Senior Division. Whispers spread across the bleachers. That's the new kid, the one from the video. Didn't Ryan mess with him? Malik stepped onto the mat, calm, his black belt tied with precision. The referee signaled. Ready. He bowed. Not to the crowd, not to the school, to himself. His opponent was fast, skilled, but Malik was something else entirely. Every movement was clean, balanced, deliberate. Kick, block, pivot. The crowd fell silent, hypnotized by the fluidity of it. He wasn't fighting to win, he was demonstrating control. Every strike was a lesson: discipline over rage, purpose over pride. And in that moment, every student who had ever laughed, every teacher who had looked away, saw him not as the transfer kid, but as something powerful. The match was over. Malik had won, flawlessly. Principal Blake stepped forward, microphone in hand. "Malik Johnson," he said slowly, "you've not only represented Crestwood with excellence, but with honor. We are proud to have you here." Malik bowed again, quietly. His mother was in the crowd too, hands clasped, eyes full. After the event, as the gym emptied, Principal Blake approached him privately. "I owe you an apology," he said. Malik looked at him, surprised. Blake continued, "I saw what was happening. I told myself it wasn't my place. That was cowardice." Malik shook his head. "You fixed it." Blake sighed. "I should have done it sooner." That's the thing about power. It's not defined by who holds it, but by what they do with it. And sometimes, the strongest act of power is humility. Ava jumped up to him, grinning. "You realize you just became a legend, right?" He chuckled. "I'm not trying to be a legend." She shrugged. "Too late." Jason approached too, holding out his hand. "Guess I should have been cheering for you sooner," he said awkwardly. Malik shook it. "Better late than never." Forgiveness doesn't erase the past, but it rewrites the future. Notifications flooded in. Messages, reposts, news headlines. Students' quiet bravery exposes bullying culture at elite school. Crestwood's champion, the transfer who changed everything. He stared at the screen for a long time, then turned it off. He didn't need the world's applause. The only victory he wanted was peace, and he had it. Malik Johnson walked into Crestwood as an outsider. He walked out as a symbol, not of anger, not of revenge, but of what happens when control meets courage. Because justice doesn't always come with fists. Sometimes, it comes with silence, truth, and timing. Ryan Matthews transferred out of state soon after his father quietly resigned from the board, and the school introduced a new student code, one that started with 3 words: respect, discipline, equality. 3 words Malik had lived long before they were printed on paper. Music rises, then quiets to piano again. He stood at the gate one last time, looking back at the building that once made him small. Now, it looked smaller. He smiled faintly, because he knew no matter where he went next, he carried something no one could take from him. Not a trophy, not a title, but balance. If you were Malik, standing there at the gates of that school after everything that happened, what would justice look like to you? Would it be revenge, forgiveness, or peace? Let me know what you think, because every voice deserves to be heard. Months passed. The whispers died down. Crestwood Academy returned to its polished rhythm, but something fundamental had changed. The laughter that once echoed cruelly through the halls was now replaced by something new. Respect. A cautious kind of kindness. The kind that grows only after the storm. Malik walked those halls now without looking over his shoulder. No more whispers. No more stares. Just nods, smiles, space. Ava walked beside him, carrying a stack of books. "You ever think about how different it feels now?" she asked. Malik smiled faintly. "Feels lighter." She nudged him. "You did that." He shook his head. "No, we all did. Everyone who decided not to look away. That's the beauty of courage. It doesn't always roar. Sometimes, it whispers, and still changes everything." He set it on his shelf, right beside a framed photo of him and his mother at his first championship. She stood in the doorway, smiling softly. "You really done with competing?" she asked. He turned to her. "For now, I've got other things I want to build." She smiled knowingly. "Your father would have been proud." Malik's voice dropped. "I hope so." She walked over, resting a hand on his shoulder. "He taught you control. You taught yourself compassion. That's what makes you strong." On graduation day, Malik walked across the stage in his cap and gown. No spotlight, no drama, just quiet pride. The same kind of peace that had carried him all this way. Principal Blake handed him the diploma, looking him in the eye. "You changed this place, son," he said quietly. Malik smiled. Maybe it just needed a reminder. Ava looked at him. "So what's next?" Malik glanced at the horizon. "College. Maybe coaching kids in Taekwondo." "Coaching," he nodded. "Yet, help them learn what I did. That real strength doesn't start in the fists. It starts in the mind." She smiled. "You think people will remember you here?" He looked thoughtful. "Doesn't matter if they remember me. What matters is they remember what changed. And maybe that's what justice really is. Not revenge, not payback, but restoration. Bringing balance back to places that forgot what it looked like." Malik didn't leave Crestwood as a hero. He left as a reminder that quiet doesn't mean weak, and silence doesn't mean surrender. He came to Crestwood searching for peace, and left giving others permission to find their own. Because power built on fear never lasts, but power built on integrity, that's the kind that outlives the noise. If this story moved you, if it reminded you that strength isn't about who's loudest, but who's right, please like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps me keep telling stories that prove, in the end, justice always finds its way home.